When the Johnson family decided to move into their new home on the outskirts of a small town in America, no one knew that this house held a dark secret. The house had been abandoned for years, and no one knew why. The walls were covered in layers of dust, and the windows creaked eerily with every breeze. The basement was locked with rusty chains, as if someone wanted to keep something trapped inside. On the first night, everyone heard strange noises, but they dismissed them as just the effect of moving into a new house. They had no idea this was only the beginning of a terror they wouldn't be able to escape easily. Ethan, the eldest son, was the first to notice the strange occurrences. On the second night, as he lay in bed, he woke up to faint whispers coming from downstairs. At first, he tried to ignore them, thinking they were just his imagination, but over time, the voices became clearer. They were whispers in an unfamiliar language, as if trying to convey a cryptic message. Unable to sleep, he decided to go downstairs to investigate. As he approached the basement, he noticed the old chains rattling slightly, as if something inside was moving. A shiver ran down his spine, and he hurried back to his room, unaware that whatever was inside had noticed him too. The next day, while wandering in the backyard, Ethan found an old key buried under the roots of a dead tree. The key was rusty but still sturdy, as if waiting for someone to use it again. He had no idea that this key would unleash the evil locked behind the basement door. That night, he began to have terrifying nightmares about the house and its previous residents, about strange rituals performed in the basement and an evil entity lurking in the darkness. The dreams were so vivid, as if they were trying to warn him of something terrible coming. Ethan couldn't resist his curiosity. In the middle of the night, he sneaked into the basement, holding the key with a trembling hand. He turned the key in the lock, and as soon as he opened the door, a foul stench filled the air, a mix of decay and death. The air inside the basement was unnaturally cold despite the summer heat. Suddenly, the house lights flickered, and a faint voice whispered his name. Inside the basement, he found shelves filled with old books and strange symbols. In one corner, there was an ancient wooden box with incomprehensible carvings. As he approached to open it, he suddenly felt a cold hand touch his shoulder. He turned around quickly but saw nothing, just darkness. Deep in the basement, Ethan found old journals dating back to the previous century, detailing horrifying experiments conducted by a former resident. The man had attempted to summon spirits from another world but failed to control them, leading him to trap them in this place. Before Ethan could read further, he felt a presence behind him, or something else. He wasn't alone. He heard heavy breathing echoing through the basement and saw a shadow moving at the edges of the room. Panicked, he rushed upstairs and slammed the door shut, but the shadow didn't need an open door to reach him. In the following nights, things got worse. Doors opened and closed on their own. Screams echoed from nowhere, and strange reflections appeared in the mirrors. One night, Ethan woke up to find a figure standing at the foot of his bed, faceless. The family began to feel terrified, but the worst was yet to come. They all felt as if they were being constantly watched, and when they tried to leave the house, they found the doors locked by an unseen force. Through the old journals, Ethan discovered that the house had been the center of a series of mysterious incidents, and that everyone who tried to break the chains or open the basement either went insane or vanished without a trace. This entity had been waiting for someone to set it free, and Ethan had done just that. But he wasn't the first to try to stop it. He found another journal describing a man who had managed to trap it and had written the reversal rituals to seal it again. The family tried to escape, but all the windows were sealed shut, and their phones stopped working. They had no choice but to confront the entity directly and return it to the basement before it took full control. They had to perform the ritual on the night of the full moon, or else the entity would become part of this world forever. Ethan gathered all the necessary tools and began reciting the incantations written in the journals. But the entity wasn't going to retreat easily. The house trembled, and a terrifying scream filled the air. The family tried to hold on as the entity attempted to break Ethan's spirit by manifesting his worst fears. With every word Ethan spoke, the darkness receded until the basement walls began pulling the entity back in. After an exhausting battle that lasted for hours, the entity finally disappeared, and the chains locked themselves back into place. The next morning, life seemed to return to normal, and the family decided to leave the house for good. But as they packed their belongings, Ethan glanced at the mirror and saw a reflection that wasn't his own. The entity was smiling at him from the other side. Had the curse truly ended, or was this just the beginning of something new?